know what this time it is. Today is Talk to My Author Day. I know I normally do this on Wednesday, but summertime, school, work. So I just had to move the day. But I am so excited to be talking to this author today. Her book was phenomenal. So with no further ado, let's bring in author Kris.
Hey,
Ah!
nice to finally meet you.
You too. And thank you for being so accommodated with my hot mess schedule. So I appreciate it.
It be like that sometimes, so I understand.
Yes. So, like we ask all our authors, please share with for the readers and our viewers, a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 31, and I'm currently, I want to say, speaking from a disabled person point of view, majority of what I talk about. And it's not about what I've been through, but how I went through what I went through is what I'm trying to get everyone to understand. Um, I'm a kind, loving person that wants to help, and I'm also like a hardworking person. So it's like I have to be useful every day until it's like maybe when I want to take a break because everybody needs that mental, honestly, break. But I just want to help someone. It's easier for us to work together to accomplish something. So that what makes my day, honestly. Other than that, I'm cool. I like to read. I love music and I like certain movies and I love shopping and adventures. I love nature, so I like to sightsee and travel. And that sums up
Oh,
me.
that's me.
Cool. I know, right? I can't wait.
I'm so excited, and I'm glad that you wrote this book, and it was very. It went straight in. First line, first. I was like, oh, she ain't waiting. She just going right there. And but I was like, I like big books, but I'm like, "Oh, this is only like 100. Okay, let's see. But it wasn't rushed. It really got to the point, and I figured your point was, like somebody going through trials and tribulation and how they still fought through like faith and despair. Um, Amazing Grace. She went through everything. As soon as one thing stopped, here was something else, something else, something else, something else. But I want to know, why did you start with the child familiar? Like that was like, wow.
Because that was something personal to me and it started as early when I was in preschool. So I want everyone to be comfortable enough to speak about it, but be bold enough to understand what it taught them and not always think of the bad thing, but use it to protect yourself and to help the next person. Because at the end of the day, we have to be more realistic in life and stop living in a fantasy.
Hmm.
And it's it took a lot for me to say it, but it also took a lot for me to speak on it because no one really speaks on that and we just cover it up and it's not really doing anything because we're having a band-aid but we've been stabbed. We need stitches honestly to heal.
Yeah, I feel that because I was like, when I read it and I kind of like reread it a little bit over because it was like, because the young girl, what I learned from this was, I'm like, she sounds so old, but I'm like, technically, the thing she went through is why she sounded like this. She was innocent, but still like an adult at the same time because she was going through adult things. So it seemed like her development was so rushed, but she was still
Hmm.
but she was still innocent at heart, like still trying to learn. Like she had to figure out things. That I'm like, she shouldn't have to be doing these type of things. But it is a topic, like you said, that people don't really talk about, and it happens all the time. So I was like, okay, like I didn't know where to go, but I was like, let's see what happens next. Let's see what's happening next. Because I'm like, and then find out first, she was being molested by her father, not even knowing she was being molested by him because she didn't know it was wrong. She just thought, okay, this is what we have to do. And then she found out it was wrong. Then she found out that's not her daddy. So it was so much to impact in this story. Like, we talked about child molestation. We talked about kind of like sex trafficking because that was going on. Prostitution, drug dealing, girl,
and that's because
incarceration. It was like, oh my God.
And that's because I've been exposed to all of that prior to me turning 18.
Wow.
And I had to tell it in a story where someone will want to listen to it. Because if I tell it how it happened, they're like, yeah, I want to hear it. Or it's another one of them pity parties. But if I do it more entertaining, it will attract people's mind. And I also have a dad who does that. Well, not do it now, but it was like to your own stepdaughter. That was weird. And they have a close relationship, but it's like, that's still weird because I don't trust him. That's my own father. But at the same time, it happened to me on my mom's side of the family. So it's like, again, it's something that I want people to be bold enough to speak on and not be afraid, because some people shut down and it controls them. And we are not victims, but we're survivors because we overcame that. And I also realized by staying in a trap house, trying to, graduate high school, there were prostitute drug dealers. And I was like, you know what? They taught me that you have an option for sex not to be free, and people are already cheating people. So it's like, if you're going to play the game, you're going to have to play it right. And that's what I speak about my fourth book, which is the book prior to that, how America is trying to fuck us over. And at the end of the day, we got to fuck them first. Make sure we come. So I'm trying to get people to understand it in a more exotic way, because I'm like repeating my message, but in different ways, because it's how you put it out there to get the people attention.
That's very clever.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. That's very clever. I like that because you're telling your testimony, but without telling your testimony. You know what I mean? So you're saying, hey, and then people, oh, this didn't really happen. Like, oh, yes, it did, because honestly, this is my story. I'm just giving you the fluff pieces so that you won't be so traumatized. Kind of what it probably did to you, because that is traumatizing, like you said in this book, how she had to process everything so fast. So, okay, well, if they're going to do this, I realized what she said, pussy is power. So I'm going to use my power, since they was taking it anyways, to do something to benefit other people. I still love that. Through all her trials and tribulation, her goals were always the same: to help somebody else so that they won't have to go through what she went through. Because some people could be like, I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love that you did that, because some people who were put in probably the same situation where it was like, well, it does happen. You happen to you. You got to happen to somebody else. And I'm like, well, it happened to me too. And I'm like, that's not the mindset. That, especially in our community of melanin people. Like I tell everybody, wherever I end is where I want my children to start. I never want my children to start where I started. And I know a lot of people be like, oh no, they're gonna work hard and start like where I started. No, they're gonna work hard, but why am I busting my behind to get to a certain platitude and then have my kids starting on square one? That made no sense to me. We go through life's journeys so we can help one another. One thing I could say about you, Kris, from reading this book is I think that you are going to touch a lot of people, because the message in here is like, no matter what you go through, if you're still pure at heart, you didn't let that really change you in Amazing Grace in the story. She was still her. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. No matter what happened, her main focus and goal was still a forefront. And when she got to a certain point, okay, I got where I need to get to. This gotta go. She didn't let that lifestyle, those things consume her. And I love that.
And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Don't let your temporary circumstances consume who you really are. Don't let that take that from you. Just example, like this 9 to 5 that people think we were supposed to be working. The war was given to us for free by a creator that we can't even help pitch in. So for us to do this, I get what they're doing, but is it really working for us? And it's
Mm-hmm.
sad because we're hurting ourselves more than us wasting toxic in the lake in the air. And I'm trying to get people to understand it, but again, I have to speak like in these exotic stories and poems and metaphors and stuff like that so people to understand where I'm coming from, because at the end of the day, I still want to help people. And I relate myself in these future books to come in different stories because I'm trying to get people to understand me, and I'm exposed to myself as a demonstration, or I could be that one stepping stone for somebody else to help uplift them.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is great. I'm so happy that because I didn't know your story. I
Mm.
just met you and we were texting and you're coming on the book cruise. Woohoo!
I cannot wait.
And I was like, you know what? I haven't read her stuff. She's supporting something that I'm passionate about. I want to have her on here and support her as well. And so this was like I told you, this is the first, and you knew I was just the first. Whatever, what book do you want us to read? Any book? I haven't read anything, and you chose this book, so I went in blindly. So Tuesday, yeah, she is a survivor, and I just kept to read something here. I'm like, either she's been through this, she knows someone who's been through this, or she's doing this for a purpose. My question, I was talking to my sister. I was like, hey, she said, "We're gonna ask her." I said, "I just have like two questions that I really want to know," and it's like, "What was your purpose?" And I'm like, when she tells me that, I'm gonna know everything I need to know because this story showed, like you said, a survivor who's been through so many different things and still kept her heart pure. I even love when she had her dream with God and the angels. Like she didn't understand it, and then after a while, she got okay. That was the dark time I was going through, and now look at my life. But I do have a couple of questions about your character, even if it's right or wrong. I still want to know. So, a couple of things. One, we never, I don't know if you do this purposely or you're gonna have like spin-off books or something. But we never like really touched on like Stacy. Like when she was kind of like gang raped at, Grace house
Hmm.
because of those people, we know that, Grace went to, the juvenile detention and stuff. But we never know like really what happened to Stacy. Like, how did she process those things? Because she was just like she'd come and visit, but we don't know like where was her mental state? You know what I mean? Because we were so focused on Grace. I'm like, well, I still want to know, like, what, like, how did Stacy process this?
So Stacy has a story of her own that's going to be told.
That's what I figured. I
That's
said,
what
she's
it
going.
is. Yes.
I was on it. I knew it. I was like, she's gonna tell me, or she has another book. And I think that you're smart for doing that because I'm curious. Um, and I also want to know, besides Stacy on book, are you gonna have like another? Because I want to know, like, what are their relationships now? Because they're all grown. Remember, they went to college and they got their
Hmm.
four houses with all those kids. What are their relationships now with men?
So the relationship with men, with every last one of them, they date, but they're not really focused on the man part. They're focused on helping others. So it's not like they're being a nun or anything like that. It's just their mind are really not focused on that just yet. My thing for them and for each individual character that's in there is not really focused on finding that white guy, because in the process you might get lost and you might get distracted. At this point, do what you're supposed to do first and everything else will fall in line, because I feel like if you set yourself up in that level, then that man will come and reach you at that level and not have to build up with you, because it's like different, I want to say different demons and different skeletons, different clauses, but each level has their own little thing. And
Mm-hmm.
once you reach that type of level, then you'll be ready for that gift. Just like people always use this: God don't give you your gift yet until you're ready for it. And sometimes you go through stuff to prepare you for what's to come in a good way. So that's what that is about.
Okay, because I was definitely with Grace. So I'm like, okay, since she was in what, like fourth grade or before she went to fifth grade, she had sexual relationship with a man who she thought she was her father. Then she start, selling her body for money. And then she just stopped because she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. She had all the sexual transmitted disease. But then she grew. She went to school. She's helping people. So I was like, what's next for her? Like, are you thinking you're gonna have like a book too? Because I'm curious, as a grown woman going through all those traumas, is that even like about her being in a relationship, but how do she react to men? Because all those trauma, like her when she found out who her real daddy was, which was a pimp, this fake guy who like molested her, guys who, even when she said she started dating what Mikey, the brother, the one who got killed, Mikey. So like, she's like, oh, I just know he wanted me for sex, so I was gonna get money. And then she said with his best friend. So I'm like, what will be her relationship without the sex part with a guy? Because she hasn't experienced any of those things. She hasn't had a real relationship. So I'm hoping if you ain't thought about it yet, you need to definitely write that book, because that's something I think will show people that you could go through this, you could get all the things you're passionate about, but what is your relationship now? Like, even without the sex, with the opposite sex, who every single time you had something with them, it was something trauma. Like the guy who stole her, she found him stole and then had sex. Her father was like the pimp. The guy who she's seen him get murdered. You know what I'm saying? So what would that relationship look like?
So honestly, she despised men because of her past. So if I was to do another one, it has to be a man coming in along that has some type of connection when it comes to her supporting the houses that she has for the kids. That could be like a gateway for him to like ease on her, because she's so dedicated and focused on the kids. So
see a different side of a guy. I see what you're saying.
So it would be something like that. And at the end of the day, my message will be never to give up on love in that book. So not trying to be funny. You kind of like just gave me an idea.
Well, that's what we're here for, because I think the way you're going with your messages, I appreciate, because I do think it's a topic and subject that is not really being hit upon. So I think that's genius. You're making your own lane, but I also believe that you're welcome. That people gonna want to see, okay, yeah, we've been through this, but everybody desires loves. And if she had a relationship with a guy that didn't automatically revolve around sex, I think that'll be a beautiful story. That when she actually, because it's kind
of he has to come from a painful past too, so he can relate.
Yeah, so he can relate to her, and then when they actually become intimate at some point, that would be kind of like her really losing her virginity, because that's when she actually gave it up for the right purpose, not for money, not because people were just taking it. That story, I think, will be a beautiful story. And like you said, never give up on love. She did with all her trauma, and then she found somebody who, he wasn't just looking at me for sex. He has the same passion I have. Maybe he was molested, because believe me, that it happens to boys.
His name should be Mercy. So then the name could be Mercy and Grace.
So I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying.
Now I'm thinking in my head.
I'm just saying it could be a good story, and it has a great message. I'm just saying. You could just say,
that.
My blue wet for giving me this.
I'm going to have to dedicate the book to you.
But honestly, I really think you have something great going on here with these messages, because, and it wasn't too much, because I have read some stories, and it wasn't about sexual trauma, like some mental traumas. And those books kind of gave me some headaches. And I'm like, oh my God, it's an emotional roller coaster. But I think your book was like kind of very simple and to the point without being overbearing. So I do appreciate that. And I definitely want you to continue this message, because I don't think we really don't talk about it. So I'm really honored that you were vulnerable and open up enough to have this discussion with me about, saying, hey, this is me. And girl, you strong, because
thank you for that.
I don't know what to say, because I guess I couldn't fathom, even me reading it, I felt so much compassion for Grace and for Stacy. Like, okay, I'm at my friend's house, she goes take a shower, and then they come, what? And then made me, because I have a daughter, she's 8. And I have a son, and I feel like it could go both ways, definitely now with today's age. But it made me, that's why it even made my skin crawl even more, because I just look at her like she's in the 4th grade. She just started school today, first day of school. That's probably why I'm tired.
Wow.
So And the girl was right there, about to go to fifth grade, finishing. So I'm like, I can imagine that being my daughter's norm. You know what I'm saying? Her
Mhm.
innocence, her growing up like that, thinking this is the only thing what men want. They just want to use me at that innocent age. So I was just like, I felt, differently because I have a child that age right now. Um,
Mhm.
and it's something like you said that they don't talk about. But that's why I'm very adamant about talking to your children very young about sex. Like before my kids went to kindergarten, people say, "Oh, you're so vulgar." I'm like, no, because at the end of the day, sex is real. Child
Like
molestation is real. Pedophilia
for
is real.
for real, cause like when it happened to me on my mom's side of the family, it was like I didn't know it was wrong. If I would have known it was wrong, it'd have been a whole different story. But no one told me, so I'm thinking it's a game, and I
Hmm.
played it. And it's like, bro, really? And I still don't have a relationship with that person because the person really can't. It's no explanation. I'm trying to understand where was the person head at to make them do such a thing because kids is like half cooked food. I'm not about to eat that. That's like poison. So
Hmm.
how could you? That's just it's weird. And not trying to be like don't take this the wrong way to any kid, but I'd be like, oh, y'all are so germy because kids don't wash their hands a lot. Kids don't like to wipe themselves correctly. Kids just do anything at this point. They be like, yeah, don't touch me. So again, how? And there's no really answer, but it's like us coming together and feel like, okay, cool. I'm not the only person that's been through this, so she can be now we can comfort each other whenever you still had them dreams or something. You have that support group or something like that. Like we need stuff like that just to make it through the day because we can never think outside our mind. So if our mindset is still back there, yet we're 20 years deep in what are we doing? Nothing.
Hmm.
So I'm all about trying to help in all like areas that I know I can help.
Yes. I have another question because you said earlier you was in a trap house. So is her story like literally remember your story? Did you like end up going to juvenile and then leaving there, going to like creating your own trap house, having parties?
Well, okay, so I got out of juvenile, then I went to the grown up jail and I went to the city jail to the workhouse and then I got out and moved in an abandoned house and then moved into a trap house and then tried to go to off to college, was in debt real fast because I didn't have no financial aid. Then went back to the trap house and that's when I seen everything for what it really was. And I was like, oh my goodness, sex is not free. Okay, because I'm watching these people, kids, while this one girl, and she taught me, and I put this in my second book. Um, you don't really technically have to sleep with a guy to get money. You just got to sell them a dream, and that's what she was doing. And I'm like, bruh. And I would get paid for watching her son while she do it, and I would watch her, and it was like, I need her. I need to be like that just to survive because I'm trying to find my own way in life, and I didn't have no guidance. I'm in a
Hmm.
house with young people, and we're surrounded by 30 and 40 and 50-year-old guys. We're only 18. We're in a house full of perverts. And we're kids. It was weird. I was in a bad situation that I would never want myself or watch a person go down that same path. So I would try to prevent them by telling them, hey, yeah, the same thing that made me laugh one point in time also made me cry. And a lot of people, them, they went to jail. A lot of people, they still sprung off on drugs. And some people actually died. And it was like, it's weird, it's different, and I can't go back there mentally.
I understand that. So Kris, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you went to juvenile?
So the first time, okay, so actually, I started off going to the crazy hospital. The first time as early was in first grade. Then I stopped. Then it was high school. My 10th grade year. Then my 12th grade year is when I went to juvenile.
So you went to the mental hospital at first grade.
Yeah, because I wanted to kill myself as I was going through some stuff, and at that point, I just like, yeah, I'm over this. Um, but yeah, I was suicidal. Life drove me to suicidal. Then my mom drove me to suicidal again. So I was back at the crazy hospital. and they didn't want me to go to the jailhouse until I went to Kennedy, and I remember getting into a violent altercation with another student. But like I was trying to tell people, y'all don't understand what I'm going through at home. I have to eat like half cooked food, like raw food, like let it unthaw, and then you eat it like that. Um, take cold baths, sleep upstairs in the dark with no lights, in the cold because we had space heaters. My mom would turn it all off in the basement. It was like my mom would torture me every day. So I'm already upset, and then people try to bully me because I'm disabled. It's like, all right, I'm gonna take all my etymaks I have against my mother out on you, and I'm always the oh, she's a bad person, but it's like I'm being picked on. I got to make a statement, but I did it a violent way.
And how are you disabled?
So I had a brain tumor. I had two brain tumors. The second one it took out last year. The first one it took out when I was 8 months old. I ended up having semi paralysis on my right side of my body. So it's
Mm.
like I can move my arm, but I can't move my hand. I can move my leg, but I can't move my foot on my right side. And then it's like,
In your writing, that is a testimony right there. Do y'all hear this? She is actually, and for anybody who said they can't do something or giving a whole bunch of excuses, including myself, I don't ever say I can do something. I just be like, I don't want to do it. Which is the
yeah,
God.
because I was trying to be lazy.
And I told you, I'm like, I don't want to do it. But honestly, Kris, you just inspire me even more because I say it out loud. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. But it's true. But it's not like lazy. I just don't want to do stuff. But that's why I read this book that calls No Excuses. And that's like you in this book are
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like beating me. Like, see, this is why you got to get the stuff you need to get done. But for all every viewer, I hope you're hearing her testimony. She literally told you guys she'd been in a mental hospital. She had major surgery with her brain. She has disabilities. She's been in and out of trap house and drugs. She's been molested at a young age from family members, but she's still writing her books. She's still over here smiling. She tells you how she has all this great personality. She wants to do adventures. She's still living and still have hopes and dreams and accomplishing them. So I hope if you guys don't get anything else, you heard what I just said. There's no excuses for you guys to be going exactly a living testimony. And you just literally made I was had a headache coming on here. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's been a long week, but you just really just blessed my soul, Kris. You really, really did. And I'm so happy that I got introduced to you, that I got to bring you on here. I'm going to bring you on again. We're going to do something else because I really think what you're doing is moving and people need to embrace it and understand because we like to judge. Because somebody could be like, oh, this girl, she's writing about all this depressing stuff. I don't want to. And then realizing, wow, this is actually a true story, but she kind of just put it in there so you can read it and kind of understand it differently. And I appreciate that. And I'm just happy that I didn't judge it like that. I just wanted to know, I'm like, well, why? I said, it has to be a reason she picked this story. She has a message and she wants us to get her message. And I'm glad I was right about that. And I didn't like be like, oh my God, this is depressing. Because I'm like, first sentence, first page. She didn't give you no like buffer. She was like, boom, 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 let's get it. And I was like, okay, where are we going here? And I didn't really know where we were going. I did not imagine all those pit stops we went on. I didn't know if it was like a love story. I didn't know if it was like coming in. I didn't know what it was. So I just kept reading. I said, I'm very intrigued. I want to know. I want to know. And I even told my sister, I was like, she said, you asked a girl, I already read that book. I said, but at first I wasn't sure because, I don't like these short books. But I'm like, this is actually a really good book. And I can't wait to see what was her thought process writing this. And I'm glad that I had this opportunity to spend time with you to talk about your story and your testimony. And when you have your next book or when it's Stacy's book, let's talk about that. Or when we get what you said, Mercy's book, we could talk about that. Because I really would like to be on this life journey with you to see all the things you accomplish. I think it's just going to be a beautiful sight, and I would love to witness it. So I appreciate you sharing your gift with us.
Thank you. I'm glad being on here.
I'll have you on here too. It's very inspirational. Yes.
I like talking about it because I want people to understand where I'm coming from. And then it's like like you said, what made her write that book? It's like, yeah, actually have my autobiography out. So now you can understand why I'm coming from that era. Then you can understand me. And they'd be like, it's just the issue is we fail to understand one another. And if we
Mhm.
understood one another, how simple the world could be.
That part. We and it's in like you when you mention God in the story, and I love that you mention your spirituality in this book. And like God said, God should not judge. And we quit to judge. Quick
Mhm.
to judge somebody you don't know what's going on. And I really try not to do that. I even lately I've been on a spiritual journey, y'all. Keeping my mouth shut because I could be a two-headed sword sometimes, and I just be like, everybody, I'm like, I'm shot no chaser. But on this journey, I notice God's taking me on to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Not say everything, not share everything, not just be so cutthroat. Because I honestly, even though I'm coming from a place of love, some loves, even though it's pure, you have to, what I realize, you have to see what the other person is. You know what I mean? I have to see who that person is and not be so caught up in my emotions and my feelings. Even if I'm right. So understand, let me take a seat, let me take a step back. Understand and letting, like even being a mother, like I was telling my mother earlier, I said I have to let my kids fall on their face sometimes. Because
Mhm.
if you're there, if I'm always holding their hands, when I let go, what's gonna happen? They're not gonna know what to do. So I said, why I'm still there safely thinking I need them to fall on their face while I'm still here. But I'm gonna let them fall on their face. And so they can get the lesson like, hey, now what? Don't ask me. Figure it out. You're of age where you have a mind of your own. What you're gonna do yet next, and then I can guide you back to where you need to be if you haven't chose that course. And also learning. Last night I told my mom, I said every day I'm fighting with myself. Shut up, Whitney. Don't say that. Like constantly. I says, in a Bible it says daily you
For
have to
real.
you have to kill the inner me. And I'm like, forget daily, like every minute. Like, don't do that. Get up, to be this, and it's so true. I'm like, when you on the journey of change and really want to be a reflection of God, that's in every aspect of your life. That's how you talk to like even with my spouse. And I told her, I said, I think you're trying to teach me how to communicate with anybody. And so they can honestly fulfill my sincerity and not just feel the hurt or the pain or the frustration. I don't want people to feel that even if am hurt or even if I have pain, because we're all human, we have feelings. But I
Mhm.
said when I speak, I want it to be sincere,
Mhm.
and if I can't speak out of love, I don't want to talk. I came to that
Mhm.
point. Before I wasn't like that. I would just tell it, like, it's the truth. But I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore because I said, as a woman of God, as a mother, as a wife, as a Black woman, I find myself in a lot of rooms where it's just me. Like in my employment and my business, I walk in a
Mhm.
lot of rooms and it's just me. I think because it's true. That's probably why it's deep, because it's true. It's my own personal journey as a woman. I have three part-time jobs, and I run a business, and I'm a mom, and I have boy. People always like, "Oh, how do you do it?" Because I'm not afraid of working. I'm
That's what
very,
it is.
I'm not afraid of working. I'm very goal oriented, and when I have something and a vision, I want to go there. But I
Mhm.
realize in my employments and my business, when I walk into rooms, it's literally only me. They're like, "Are you the only one?" Like, people come in there and be like, I'm the only one who looks like me that work here. No other
Mhm.
people who have this melanin skin, just me. And I'm okay with that, but I also know there's a responsibility in that as well. I'm always going to be authentically me, but I also want to make sure that I'm not stereotyped, like, oh, if something upsets me, like, oh, she's a mad Black woman, this and that. No, I make sure I articulate myself very well. I come off with like, listen, X, Y, and Z, one, two, three. You can't take it any other way, because it's important to make sure that You're not just seen, but you're heard.
Yes.
You know, and I'm learning that over my lifespan, and I honestly think I get it more from being a wife and a mom. I said those two jobs has taught me more about myself than any other position I ever held in my whole entire life. And every day I learn something new about myself, good, bad, and indifferent. Some stuff I'm like, oh, I love that about me. And sometimes I'm like, I didn't even know I did that.
Mm-hmm.
So that just, with reading your book, I literally sat there and started thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if this is her story. And if this is, I can't wait to talk to her. I really was thinking, I wonder if this is her story or why did something like this happen. My sister, maybe something like this did happen. This is very detailed about certain things. And I'm so happy that you shared this. And I really hope that no matter what any woman's story is, that they,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, that they're bold enough and to share it so that other women can understand we all have a story, all of us, even if the ones that is fluffy, the ones that's hard, the ones that's in between. And that's what we
Mm-hmm.
can't judge, because something like, oh, that's it. What you mean that's it? That one took me out, you
Exactly.
know? So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story and allowing me to ask you questions and be open with you and be vulnerable with you as well. Because when you feel that, you're like, hey, let me share something. Because if we're going to sit here and share, I never want someone to feel like, okay, I'm pouring out all my stuff and then the other person, I feel like it's not authentic. So
Mm-hmm.
I really do appreciate you, Kris. And I'm glad that I finally got to put a face to your voice. Like I saw your picture, but this is like, even though we're not face to face, it feels like it. And I want to tell you, I am so thankful that you took time out of your day. You moved your schedule around to accommodate us on Whitney's Escapes Book Club. And I want you to have this opportunity right now to share with the people your closing remarks, where they can follow you, how they can support you, and all that good stuff.
That's cool. So my Facebook page is Kris Love Barringer with the Kris Love Barringer. All my books are available on Amazon. I'm doing interviews based off my book because I love talking about my book, and I'm also working on my first movie because I want to turn my first book into a movie. So you can always stay tuned on Facebook because I'm always active on social media.
Y'all hear her. See, I better go follow her. I'm gonna ask her, did her follows go up? Please follow her. Please support her because she has a wonderful story and a journey to help more people, help more women to evolve, and also you can watch her continue to evolve into the woman God has called her to be. And ladies and gentlemen who's on my Facebook page, I want to, like always, thank you for your time. Just know Kris will be on a book cruise next year.
Woo woo!
So yeah, if you didn't get your tickets, it's not too late to get your tickets to join us, where you can meet this wonderful, beautiful soul in person and get some of her books and support. Guys, like always, I love you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate the support. You know where to follow me at Whitney Escapes Everything. Until next time, bye.
See ya!
Do you work too much, constantly on the go, miss hanging out with friends, family, or even yourself? Do you ever feel like you need an escape? Whitney's Escapes is here to help with just that. We specialize in family travel, autism travel, group trips, vacations, staycations, and more. So when you're ready for your next escape, make sure you contact us at whitneysescapes.com. Follow us on social media at Whitney's Escapes as well. Whitney's Escapes, where your dreams become your reality.